Hello everyone and welcome guys to the start of my F1 2005 mod career mode guys. And today, as you can probably tell by the title, we will be starting at Australia with David Coulthard. Yeah, someone that is obviously sort of came out of F1 just as I sort of really got into it, so it would be really interesting to see what I could try and do with David, as well as the fact obviously that this was Red Bull's debut season in Formula 1 as well. So really looking forward to this series. But here we are then at Australia for the first round of the season, and for the one time this season I'm going to leave you on board with my fastest lap from qualifying. But just whilst we do that, I'm just going to thank a couple of people for this sort of series as well. I can only apologise, the audio for the first half of this race is out for some reason. I'm not too sure why, but it does sort of get into the right place again. It's really odd. I've sort of never really had that with files before. It is fixed for the other races though. I made sure I made a couple of changes with the recording NVIDIA Shadow Play that I was using. So yeah, it will all be fixed for the rest of the season. But yeah, just a couple of people obviously I wanted to thank, which is first of all the whole team that made this mod over on Race Department. I think, you know, it's fairly well known now. Obviously these guys also made the F1 2018 mod, that once that mod is fully stabilised and everything, I will be doing a series on that as well. So certainly obviously if you want to see that as well, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. So yeah, obviously I'll make sure to leave a link to that mod. Obviously if you're on PC, you want to go check it out. It is only available on PC, like pretty much all mods ever. Obviously unfortunately Xbox and PS4 can't get access to that as well. Also to Nick Alfat, otherwise known as All Flatcher, so make sure I leave a link to his channel as well down in the description, because he has also done a series on this mod. He sort of like introduced me to this mod. Obviously a lot of you guys know how big a fan I am of the classic cars on this game, so obviously really, you know, a lot of thanks to him for obviously showing this to me. And obviously he's done a really good series on it as well. I would highly recommend going back and checking out his Mclaren yeah, mod career mode as well. So yeah, certainly one to go as well. Don't forget to give him a subscription as well. But there we are then, the end of Australian qualifying, and we actually find ourselves down in P16 there. This Red Bull I found from recording the first two rounds of the season really struggles in qualifying, but is a lot better in the race. But it was Juan Pablo Montoya that qualified on pole ahead of his McLaren teammate there, looking at the front row. Jarno Trulli doing a very good job in P3 with Fisichella P4. Alonso 5th, Ralf Schumacher in P6, actually out-qualifying his brother. Webber 7th, Barrichello 8th, Schumacher 9th, Nick Heidfeld in 11th, Massa 12th, Klein, my teammate 13th, Villeneuve 14th, Sato just in front of me there. There I was in P16, then the Menardis and the Jordans round out the grid there here for round one of the season. But here we are then on the grid for the Australian Grand Prix. It is 5 lights here in Melbourne, and it is lights out and away we go there, and actually getting off to a pretty damn decent start. They're trying to get around the side of Villeneuve there, unfortunately get caught out a little bit behind Sato there, but down in towards Tobin, they're braking, nearly running into the back of Takuma Sato there. Lucky not to lose any of my front wing there, and then on the way out getting a little bit better traction than the Honda just in front of me. Obviously these cars did still have traction control there as we dive down the inside of a couple of cars side by side with my teammate Christian Klein here as we come through turn 4 and turn 5. I think he's going to completely squeeze me out there all over the curbs. Got to make sure we don't get wedged on that curb. But yeah, we do make it up into P13 there off the start. Yellow flags are out at the background there. I think that has been just one spinner, unfortunately. Nothing really too much to report from that there, but getting a much better run than Christian Klein on the exit of the next quarter here. Are we going to try and look again down the inside of my teammate? Yes, we do. Though we try and look down the inside of Nick Heidfeld there, squeeze him out massively wide over the curbs in his Williams car. But we now move up into P11 of this Grand Prix there. So it has been a good, successful start. And by the end of lap 1 here, we were fighting Michael Schumacher in the Ferraris. This is, well, David versus Goliath there. We've got Jenson Button as well, just in front of him there. So we're going to try and look around the outside of Schumacher there. Unfortunately, get caught out a little bit by him, so not able to make that move stick just yet in this Grand Prix. But down in towards turn 3 here and turn 4. We're still all over the back of the Ferrari car here, just struggling in the dirty air. You know, these cars I think are based on the 2017 cars, but obviously have got characteristics from the 2004 Ferrari, the last of sort of the V10 cars on this game. So it's sort of developed between those two. But yeah, through the next corner though, all over the back of Schumacher once more. I don't know what it is, but the cars just through there don't really seem to be able to get the traction. As now, as you can see from Schumacher's POV here, is a little bit of a graphical glitch there. But Schumacher, we're going to have a look down the inside, and we're just going to completely squeeze him out wide there. A little bit aggressive from ourselves there, and he's actually made contact with Nick Heidfeld there as well, which certainly is not what he would have wanted. But we now find ourselves up into P10 of this Grand Prix here. Remember, only the top 8 do score points. There will be sort of a custom points table for this series there, so we can account for that. But now we're all over the back of Jenson Button here, sort of our fellow countryman, obviously, depending on how successful David Coulthard didn't win a World Championship there, so unfortunately that means he is still Scottish, unlike Jackie Stewart, who is now Great British. But yeah, moving down the inside of Jenson Button there, one lap later. We're going to give him the room on the exit of the corner there, and now we move up into P9 of the Grand Prix. And next up on the old hit list will be Rubens Barrichello there, but he's a good couple of seconds up the road, and unfortunately by the time it was ready to make my pit stops there, we hadn't actually caught up to him. We had moved up a couple of places, obviously, as everyone sort of found themselves pitting at this stage of the Grand Prix, just to get the car slowed down, as well as we get into the pit lane there. So that was overall just about well done there. As now we come into our pit box here, hoping for a nice clean stop. It's going to be a 2.5. We do get held up actually behind the Toyota of Ralf Schumacher there, which was a little bit frustrating to see. So we are probably going to lose out on a couple of positions in this Grand Prix. At the moment they're completely forgetting as well to disengage the pit limiter there, and there's Jenson Button coming down the start finish straight as well. But fortunately for me, we are going to be able to hold out just ahead of him here as we get into the halfway stage of this Grand Prix here. So we're probably still going to be around where we were beforehand here, but now we're facing ourselves in a little bit of traffic here. Narain Karthikeyan going very, very slowly through the middle sector here, and we're really, really going to try and look to capitalise on this. Webber is going to try and look round the outside of him. We're going to try and look down the inside of Ralf Schumacher here, squeeze him out wide on the exit of the corner there. Karthikeyan still very, very slow in towards the final couple of corners there. We're going to try and get past him round the outside. He squeezes me up towards the wall there. Just dip a wheel on the grass means we're on very, very wide through that corner there, and unfortunately we're going to lose out the place to Schumacher once more there. And it's really, really good to see how much the AI in this mod really do fight for their positions here. But now on board with Karthikeyan here as we come through Sector 2, still side by side with Ralf Schumacher here. We're going to try and have a look there. He completely squeezes me out over the curbs there, so we're going to send one down the inside there, do a bit what we did to Schumacher there, squeeze him out wide on the exit of the corner, and now we move back up into P16 of the Grand Prix then. But unfortunately we have lost quite a bit of time to Ralf Schumacher, and more importantly the cars up the road ahead of him here, so it's going to be tight to see whether we're going to be able to score points in this Grand Prix. But now moving on to lap 9 of the race, Nick Heidfeld here going very, very slowly through Sector 1 there, getting caught over the curbs just a little bit there, so we could potentially fancy a look down the inside towards this next corner here. We think about going for it, we go a little bit late there, sort of park it on the inside, squeeze him out over the curbs once more there, and now we move up into P11 once more of this Grand Prix. But I think we do still have a couple of cars left to pit in this race here, so it's looking tighter and tighter. I think Ralf Schumacher was in P7 before we all made our pit stops there, but I think Barrichello was able to jump him, and now as you can see by the end of lap 13 though, Ralf Schumacher up in P8 here. We're now in P9 of this Grand Prix, so we could still try and score points at the end of this race. Schumacher very, very slow out of the final corner here. We're going to try and look down the inside, down towards turn 1 here. I think we're not just going to have the grunt to be able to get alongside, and then we're going to back out of that down in towards T1 there. Focus on getting a better run out of the corner here as we now come through. But as yellow flags out just ahead of us there, and that's Giancarlo Fisichella with issues very, very much at the late stage of this Grand Prix there. He doesn't actually retire from the Grand Prix from that though, but he was really, really struggling with that car. Green flags are back out now, so I think that car is not exactly sorted, but I think it is back running once again. There is now, unfortunately, Ralf Schumacher has been able to get a bit of a breakaway from me there, but once again goes very, very defensive there, parks it through the next corner there. Absolutely nowhere for me to go on the exit of that corner, but we're going to try and look down the inside once more though. We park it just about on the inside there, where we made positions all day long. We're going to be able to go right around his outside there on the exit of the corner, and now up into P7 of this Grand Prix here with just over 1 lap to go of this race. And you can see on the minimap there is still a whole train of cars there all the way up to P2 of this Grand Prix. Pablo Montoya has completely run away with this one though. He's already over the start finish line, and that group is all the way after him there. And now as we skip on to lap 15 of the Grand Prix, we've still got 2 sections to go of this Grand Prix, and Ralf Schumacher is all over the back of me here, but we've got yellow flags out just up the road. Who is that that's stopped off on the side of the circuit? It's the local boy Mark Webber there. He'll be massively, massively frustrated with that, and obviously the Australian jinx there has really, really once again reared its ugly head, and unfortunately Mark not able to make it to the end of this Grand Prix there. Really, really gutting for him in that Williams car there. But yeah, that gives me 1 extra place in this Grand Prix. These yellow flags out further up the road here, and it appears that Giancarlo Fisichella is once again causing damage here, completely in the way of Rubens Barrichello there. So we're going to move up into P5 of this Grand Prix there, but we get an illegal overtake on Rubens Barrichello there, which is certainly not ideal here. So we're going to have to try and let him back through there, make sure we don't lose the place to Ralf Schumacher there. Barrichello finally goes past there, squeezes me into the wall there. Not really too sure what that was all about, so we're not very happy with that. We're going to send one back down the inside of the Ferrari driver here, side by side, in towards the final corner of this Grand Prix. We're going to be on the outside there. Barrichello able to keep it down the inside, doesn't get the best traction out of the final corner there, but just the Ferrari power means he's going to be able to come through for P5 at the end of that Grand Prix. But that certainly heated up right towards the very end of that Grand Prix. But we made up 10 positions in that Australian GP, and that overall was certainly a very, very exciting one there. But there are the final results. Pablo Montoya able to take home the race victory there in the full 10 points. Trilly doing a very, very good job. Proved that that one lap pace was actually able to carry through into the Grand Prix there, with Rixon rounding out the podium there. So McLaren, sorry, able to get a double podium there in that Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso finishing in P4 to take 5 points home for Renault there, with Barrichello 6th, myself, David Coulthard, in Rubens Barrichello P5, sorry, myself, David Coulthard, in P6, able to take home 3 points on Red Bull's debut race in Formula 1 there. Really, really happy with that result. Schumacher does come through to take home 2 points there, just behind me, and Nick Heidfeld, with all those late race retirements and issues, is still going to be able to just about claim home 1 point from that Grand Prix. There you can see in the background at the podium celebrations there. Pablo Montoya very, very happy, and I will tell you now that McLaren car is certainly one of the quickest cars in this mod. So just ferociously fast. Unfortunately, in the real life season, reliability did it really cost them in those races, which unfortunately obviously meant that they really weren't able to show the pace of that car there. But having a look at the constructors standings as well, the McLaren do obviously lead the way there after that win and the double podium there on 16 points. Toyota are on 10 points. They're up in P2, the only other team actually to get both their cars into the points in that Grand Prix. Renault P4, obviously, P3 after Fernando's point scoring position. Ferrari with Barrichello's points. Himself with Red Bull there in the top half of the field after our debut race. Certainly very, very happy with that. BMW, the last team to score there was Sauber, Minardi, and the other two teams not able to bring home points in the first round of that season. But hopefully you guys have gone on to enjoy that video. Do not forget to like, subscribe, so you can come back for the next round, which is the Malaysian Grand Prix.